What's up, everyone? Coach Chris here with this week's Coach's Corner. So this week, I'm going to quickly talk through how we can improve speed when cycling the barbell during a power snatch. So the first thing I want to make note of that cycling the barbell is a skill, and a skill needs to be practiced. So making sure that we are doing so. We're finding time in our training to practice this skill and not waiting for a workout to think through all these things that I'm about to say. All right. Now, getting into it, we're going to keep it simple. I'm going to talk about bringing the bar from the floor overhead and then break it up and then talk about going from overhead back down to the floor. A couple points that I really think oftentimes can get overlooked, especially when we're talking about a workout. So I'm going to keep it simple and we're going to get right into it. So from the floor to overhead, the couple things I want you to make note of is first, we need to make sure we are keeping that bar close to the body. If we're not, we're wasting energy and we're wasting time getting to that finished position, that lockout position overhead. So making sure that we're still setting up well and keeping that bar in close. That's number one. Number two, we have to still think, we have to be aggressive, getting underneath that bar up overhead. And one way that we can do that is by shooting our hips back, aggressively shooting our hips slightly back to help get into our power position a little quicker. We can stand up tall, and that's going to then help us to, again, cycle through the lift just a bit faster. Now, going from overhead back down to the floor. Again, we got to keep the bar close. That's a non-negotiable. But we also have to think as that bar starts to drop down in front of us, we need to get our elbows out over that bar as soon as we can. That's going to help us to control and manage that bar back down to the floor. Again, helping us to efficiently and quickly cycle through the lift. Now, one other thing that I think is very important that oftentimes gets overlooked on the descent, especially when we're talking about cycling, is making sure that we clear the knees, right? Just like when we pull from the floor, we got to get our knees back over our ankles. If we're trying to keep this bar close and set ourselves up in a good position to then continue cycling through, we got to get our knees out of the way and keep almost a vertical shin as we drop that bar back down to the floor. All right, so those are my couple points. And the one other thing I want to touch on is just, obviously the fastest way to cycle it would be going straight from overhead down to the floor. But you have to know yourself as an athlete and know the weight that's expected to be on the bar for any sort of cycling work. And if you're someone that doesn't tolerate that overhead right down to the floor for very long, then you got to consider it and start factoring in a touch point at the thigh. Again, that might slow down the lift a little bit and your ability to cycle fast. But if that can help preserve you longer through a workout, then again, I know I'm going a little bit off topic here, but that's something to consider as well. So as much as we know that going straight overhead, right back down to the floor is probably our best bet to cycle fast, if you're someone who just doesn't tolerate that well, even when going through all these other things that we've talked about, then you got to consider having that touch point and knowing at what weights you should be incorporating that in so that, again, maybe you're not moving as fast per rep, but that you can more sustainably move through an entire workout. That's what I got for you guys. Try to keep it simple. If you guys have any questions, you guys always know you can reach out, comment below, or reach me at my email, chris@conquerathlete.com. Other than that, guys, happy lifting.